Alright guys, welcome. I decided to go ahead and do a tutorial video on Dayz on a couple of videos I've already done, but put it into one video. Now this means it's going to be longer, but the intention of the video is it's going to be longer, but it's going to be more precise, hopefully better for you to understand. It's just going to show you straight away how to make, life a lot easier for yourself in the long run, I guess. And that is basically importing your custom objects that you've done using one of the editors and actually putting them into your server. Now, like I said, I know I've already done this. I've done a couple of videos. Nothing's really changed from other videos, but I think if I can do it in one video, yes, being longer, but I think I can do it better for you guys. I'll put timestamps in the description or somewhere, so you can just, go to the section that you need to look at. Now, I'm not going to show you how to use the editor, how you actually go about putting objects into your server. I have got a video on that which I think explains it all anyway. This video is just for the intention of actually getting your custom objects into your server, and I'm going to make it so you've got a custom folder and it's all like all your objects, all your files that your objects are in one folder. You'll have multiple files depending on how many custom locations you make, but it will all be in one folder, a lot easier to manage. Anyway, so I'm going to show you the expansion way with the .map method and just the original Dayz way. You can use there's a mod called VPP admin. You can use that and you can place objects while in game. I'm not going to go over that. I've got some knowledge of it. I can use it, but just trying to explain to you guys how to do that. I'm just going to leave it because it just wouldn't be suitable for me to do that at this stage. So I'm just going to show you the .map method and, like I said, the original Dayz. So we'll start with the expansion way. Now, if we just go to my server and we'll get... now, if you're using the expansion offline mode, or I think even if you use the Dayz editor, you can export the file straight away as a .map method for expansion, which is the way you need. But I'm going to show you the way if you're exporting the file, the objects, as the old way, and you need to transfer the old way over to the .map method. I'm going to show you that. So first of all, let's just go into my server. Let's just find I'm just going to take one of my files. But don't worry, I'll explain as I go along. So we're just going to take my Alt-RC. Now, what you'll get when you've got your objects, you'll get something that looks like this. These SpawnObject, the actual name of the object and the coordinates for it. Ignore like this bit where I've got the 2 forward slashes. This is just a little. I've got it all the way down, I think, somewhere. Little notes to where I know where I've placed new certain objects. But you'll get something that looks like this. So after you have exported it from an editor and you import it to, say, a Notepad program, you'll get something minus these little edits. You'll get something that looks like that. Okay? This is the old style way of doing it. Now, if you're going to use the expansion way, which is what I'm going to show you, is it uses a .map method, and you've got to transfer this, change it into the .map method. And the way to do that is if we go I'll put this link in the description too, so you can check it out. But we're on the page for the expansion wiki where it explains how to do that. Now, it does say you'll need software, Visual Studio Code. I think it's possible Notepad++ and maybe some other Notepad editors. I just use Studio Visual Code. And what you would do is if you open up Studio Visual Code, I've already got it here, go to New File, and we'll paste in them objects. Just make that bigger. Get rid of these again. So I don't know why I put it into Notepad++ first of all, because I don't need it. So I'm just going to use this. So you've got the objects look like that. Now what you need to do is if you go back to that website, it's got a bit down here where you've got to copy certain things and change it. So in this top grey box here, you can see where I'm highlighting, you basically want to copy that, so Control and C, once you've highlighted it, copy that, and then back into your Studio Visual, if you press Control and H, it brings up this Find and Replace box. In the Find box, just press Control and V for the bit that you've copied. Go back to the expansion wiki guide and copy this bottom bit with like the $sign, $1, $2 and that. Just copy that, go back to Studio Visual, and in the replace box, you put that in. At the top here, make these little stars, these little asterisk symbols. Click on it so it's blue, and it should highlight up all the objects. Now at the top right here, it says I've only got 2 of 131. So that is not highlighting all my objects. You need to make sure it is selecting all of your objects. And to do that, there we go. What I like to do is go to the end of the file and just close the space between that bracket and reopen it up again, and it usually shows you've selected 131 out of 131. Now if you've got 200 items, 1,000 items, it's the same principle. While you're in this file, do make sure that you've got this open bracket and you've got these exclamation marks. Make sure they're not closed like that. Make sure you've got a space, because otherwise this won't work. Make sure you've got space in all your items, and the same for at the end here. So I'm on line 111. If the bracket's closed like that, press space bar and make sure there's a space there. Then this way, when you go to the end of the line, do what I did. It shows you've got 131 out of 131, or however many objects you have in your case. Once you've got that, at the bottom here in the replace box, you just click on this last little symbol where it says replace all. Click on it, and it changes it to the expansion.method way. Now what you would do is you would save this file, save as, let's just put it just to the desktop, it's fine. I'm just going to just call this for now example.map. It needs to be a dot map. So I'm just calling it example, but you just call it to whatever you want it as, and then save it. Now, if you go back to your server files, now for me, I don't use this way. I'm using expansion, but I don't use the expansion way of importing objects. And after I've done this bit, I will show you the normal way. Now, what you would do is, if I even got it here, go back to your mpmissions, and you would have the expansion mission file. Now, I'm using the normal Dayz offline with expansion, but normally you'd use the expansion mission file. So in my case, expansion plus gloom, or Chinaris plus gloom, or you could just be using expansion.chinaris plus. Open that up, and then in there you'll have an expansion folder. Open up the expansion folder. In there you'll have object folder. Open that up. Now you can see I've already got stuff in here from when I did use this way, and also there is stuff in here as default as well. You can delete the default stuff if you don't want to use it, it's fine, or you can keep it there. But what you would need to do is you would need to put in that new .map file that you've created inside of there. So if we just go to my desktop, in my case I'm just going to right click, copy. If you're using a FTP program, you'd obviously transfer it and or download it into the relevant location using your FTP. In my case, I can just go right click, copy, use the back arrow to go back to the previous page I was on, and I can do right click and I can do paste, and you can see it's put in the example.map file that I've just created there. Two things I will need to do. If we just say go open up my altar one, you can see it's just got the objects, which is fine. There's no brackets or anything like that. So we need to go back, and you can do this before you upload it if you want. Sorry, wrong thing. Go back to this. Go, where is it? Example there. Right click, edit with Notepad++. It doesn't really matter. Once you've got this file, you don't have to go back into Studio Visual Edit. You can do it in whatever program you want to use. Have I done it? Oh, yeah, no. Get rid of that bracket. Just make sure you get rid of any of the brackets. You literally just want the object with the coordinates. So it looks like that. File save. And that's it. That saves as you need it in the correct folder. And of course, it's just all in the expansion object folder. It's just in one folder and everything's in one place. So if you've got different locations that you've created custom stuff for on the map, I like to name it to whatever I've called it. So if I got stuff at Altar, it's Altar. If I got stuff at, say, Tizzy, I don't think I got one there, but I'd have it as Tizzy. You know, I've got a Northwest Airfield. It just makes it a lot easier for you to do. Now, you will need to go back. I'm going to just delete it because that was obviously just an example showing you. But that's what you need to do to get the file to work, the objects to work, and that as an expansion way. If, like I said, if you're using an editor, if you're using Dayz editor, you can actually export it from Dayz editor as a .map file. So you don't need to do that Studio Visual thing. You can just put the file into this folder without changing anything in that Studio Visual program. But let me right click, delete, because I don't need it. Don't delete it. You know, normally you need to keep this in there, but I don't, so I'm going to delete it. But what you then need to do is if you go back to your expansion mission folder, go to your init, just right click edit, make sure here under void main, bool load trader objects equals, make sure this is true. I think as default, unless expansion have changed it, this is normally false. If it is false, change it to true. And that is it. That is all you need to do. Save it. Make sure your server stopped, or restart your server, of course, and make sure everything's all saved. That was it. This then will load. As long as this is set to true, this will load the objects from that object folder. Even though it says trader objects, it's fine. It's going to load it from that folder that we just put it in. And that's it. Restart your server, join your server, and you should have all the new objects in there. At the end of this little guide, I will go over some issues that if you're having, why some things may not work, okay? Right, and that's it. That's the expansion way, okay? Now I'm going to get on to the normal default, Dayz way of doing things. Okay, so if we go back to the server. Right, so if we go just back to, have I still got it in Notepad++? Yeah, I have. Right, I've still got it in Notepad++. So back to your objects, you've got your objects and they look like this. That's fine. So what you would do is you would save this file as a .c. So what I would also need to do, before we get too far ahead of myself, we'll start with the save option. So go to save as. I don't really want to confuse you guys. So save as and create a name. Again, I'm just going to call this example.c, but you would probably name it or want to name it to the location or to whatever it is that these objects correspond to in your server. So again, if it's at Northwest Airfield, you could probably just call this Northwest Airfield.c. Once you've done that, let's just say it's desktop. Yeah, right, we've got that saved. Then what you need to do is at the top, if you just push enter a couple of times. At the top here, right, void spacebar. The name of it, and it's called example. So void example. So this is the name of the file. Now we don't need to put the extension, which is .c. So we can just leave it example, and then we just put the open and close bracket. Underneath here, we put this bracket, not the normal open and close, this funny bracket. I never know what to call it. You put that. It looks like it's got a little nipple on the one side. And then the same for at the bottom. Oh, okay, I've already got one here on this case, but you'd put one, if that wasn't there, you put the closed version of it at the bottom. And that's it. And the open version's there. File. save. Okay, then that's all saved. Now what you need to do is you need to put this into your server, and we're going to create a custom folder, and I've already got that, so I can actually show you that anyway. So if we go to my server, yeah, that one, and go to my mpmissions. Now I'm using the Dayz offline, so I'm going to use that one, and you can see I've gone ahead and already created a custom objects folder. Now you can call this folder whatever you want. You can just call it objects, you can call it custom, you could just call it whatever you want to call it, okay? I just call it custom objects because it's a folder for my custom objects. So create that, and you could just, however you want to do it, using FTP, whatever. In my case, I can just right click, new folder, and, you know, blah, 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 call it whatever you want to call it, okay? Let's actually delete that because I don't need it. Right, once you create the folder, open it up, and this is where you put your files. So what I would do is if I go to desktop and find this one, example.c, right click, copy. Now, as I said, I'm using just copy paste, but if you're using FTP, I want to stress this because I don't want you guys to be confused. If you're using FTP, use your FTP program to you know, move the files or folders around, or create the files and folders that you need to, put it in the correct location. So once I've copied that, I'm just going to go back into my what would be your new folder you created, in my case custom objects. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste it in there, and you can see we got example.c, and if we open up my altar.c, you can see, and I'm going to compare it to one I've created to make sure it looks right. Void, you got the space, the name of the file without the extension, so not .c, just the name, altar, open and close normal bracket, the open bracket there that looks like it's got like a nipple, as I call it. Again, ignore these, you don't need them there. If you do put little notes at the side, you know, you add some objects, and maybe a couple of weeks later you add some more objects to that file, and you want to make a note to where you've added new objects. You can do that like I've done. Just make sure you put these 2 forward lines there so it doesn't actually try and read the line. And if we scroll to the bottom, we've got the close bracket. Well, it looks like it's got a nipple on it. Okay, and if we go back to my file I've created, it's exactly the same, just with a different name, because it's the name of this file. Minus my little edit things I've got here, because I removed them. Once that's done, what you need to then go to do is go back to your mission folder, and then go back to your init.c. So it's in your mission folder, open up your init.c. Now what you do need to do, you need to have these include lines, and these along with the, I'll pop it in the description if I can. If not, come and speak to me in Discord, and I'll get to that at the end of the video, and I can provide you this. But I know I can definitely put these in the description. Is copy one of these lines. So just copy it from the description box in YouTube. You would copy one of them, go underneath, and again put this at the very top of your init file, paste it in, and in there would be the name of the file, example, and you actually link in the name of the actual file. So this time it's including the extension, so you need the .c. So example.c, because that's the extension and that's the name that I created the file. Whatever you call your custom folder, so if you just created it, say objects, you would put objects, just whatever the name is of your custom folder that you've created goes there, okay? And then make sure, now I'm using Dayz offline.Chernarus+. If you are using the expansion mission file, in here it would look something like, I'm going off the top of my head, expansion.Chernarus+. Okay, I think I spelled Chernarus wrong, but Chernarus+. If you're using the Gloom version, just add gloom to the end. So expansion.chinaris plus or expansion.chinaris plus gloom. And then make sure between each of these you've got the 2 forward or 2 backwards lines, just like I've got there. So only keep Dayz offline Chinaris plus if you're using the vanilla Dayz mission files. If you're using the expansion one, make sure you change it to the expansion one. If you're using Livonia, I think the name for that is, if you're using the expansion Livonia, I think it's like Enoch. It's something like that. You'd have to double check. Just make sure whatever the mission file you're using, this corresponds to that. Okay. I think if you're using the Dayz one, it's like above, Dayz offline.enoch. Okay, I spelled that wrong, but it's something like that. Okay. And again, there's other maps as Rosto, Valnin, Namosk. Just make sure these are changed to your mission file. Make sure this bit here is the name of the folder that you've created, and this here is the name and the file extension of the file you created. Then you're not finished yet. Obviously, when you're in it, make sure you have this, the spawner helper function, as it's called, above void main. So put it there, and scroll down. And I don't think it really matters too much, but I like to make sure it's under the inner economy and above the date reset after economy in it. You would put in the name of the file. So again, I'll put this in the description if I can. If not, speak to me on Discord and I'll give you what you need. But I'm just going to copy one of these, and what I'll do is when I put it in the description on YouTube, I will just call it name. I'll just call it file name. So I'll just call it that. Okay. So it's called file name, and then you just need to change it to whatever your file is called. But in my case, it's called example. So I don't want to get you confused. So I'm just going along with what I've called it, so it links up the same here. So I'm just going to call it example because that's the name of the actual file minus the extension. So don't include the .c. So example.c in this part. Down this part, just example with the open and closed brackets, and then this semicolon at the end. File, save, restart your server if it's not already stopped, and that will load the objects into your server. I'm not going to go about how you get loot, but this little command line here, where I've got it, is the way you would generate loot into them custom buildings, and I've got a video on that which I think explains it pretty clear anyway, so I'm not going to go over how you get loot into your server. This is just literally you're going to get the objects into your server, and that's it. Save it. That will work. Now, if you're having issues, you've either made a mistake somewhere. If I was say missed the M out there, that's not gonna be the same. It's, it needs to be however you spell, however you've renamed your file. All this needs to be, when I can actually speak, it needs to be exactly spelt correctly. Make sure you're using the right commas. You make sure you've got everything here as you see. Don't miss nothing out. Same for up here. And again, make sure you're using the correct mission name. Make sure that whatever you've called your folder you created is the exact same name. Make sure everything is spelt 100% exactly correct. Because if there is an issue, if there's an error, it won't work. Make sure you followed this guide exactly, depending on whatever, if you're using the expansion way or the normal vanilla Dayz vanilla way of doing objects. Make sure you've got this in exactly the right part. But that's it. So if you're having issues, double check that. If you still think you've double checked it and you're having issues, in my YouTube channel there is a link to my Discord. Join that. send me a message in Discord or create a ticket. Or you can just wait till I'm on Discord pretty much most days, every day, when I'm not working. Or so you can just wait till you see me in Discord and come and speak to me. I don't mind. Come and speak to me and tell me what's up. If you do need to make a ticket or you do write me a message, give as much info as possible. Don't just say it's not working, because that doesn't help you, it doesn't help me, it doesn't help anyone. Tell me what you've done. Upload pictures of what you've done, because I can be like, if you upload a picture, I can be like, oh no, you've missed that comma there, or you spelt that wrong. Give me as much information as possible, then I can help you much more easier, much more efficient. I get a lot of messages on YouTube saying it doesn't work. Again, that doesn't help. Don't just say it doesn't work. You need to tell me what you've done. Upload pictures, like I've said, but don't use YouTube for it. Join my Discord and do it in Discord, because on YouTube you can't really upload pictures, and I don't want to fill the discussion box up trying to help you out with 50,000 different messages back and forth. Just do it on my Discord. It's much easier, and with the help of pictures, like I said, it's going to be quicker. So you can write to me on Discord, on YouTube if you want, and say it doesn't work. I'm going to join your Discord and I'll give you more information there. But don't just write it doesn't work and expect help. I'll reply back to you, of course. And there's been a lot of people that says it doesn't help, and I've replied back to them and I said join my Discord. Some do, but some don't. If you want help, join my Discord. Don't just say it doesn't work and think, oh, I'm teaching you wrong, because this does work. If you do everything correctly, 100% it does work. But that is it. So most important thing here is make sure you follow the guide 100%. If something doesn't work, come and join my Discord and create a ticket, write me a message or whatever, however you want to get hold of me on Discord, and give me as much information as possible. But as long as you follow this guide, it shouldn't. No reason why it shouldn't work. Okay. Anyway, that is it. I'll try and put timestamps of everything in the description box too. I'll try and paste, or I will paste everything that you need, all the links to the expansion wiki and all that in YouTube too. Anything that I can't put in my description box on YouTube, come and join Discord for me and I'll provide you whatever via Discord. Anyway, that's it. Until next time, guys, peace out and have fun.